the man accidentally knocked over the wax, pouring it directly onto the woman's face. Realizing the serious trouble he had caused, the man quickly slipped away. A few minutes later, the staff arrived at the scene and were shocked by the sight. The wax had already solidified, tightly blocking the woman's nose and mouth. Firefighters rushed to the scene. One of the firefighters noticed a familiar bracelet, leaving everyone bewildered. Just a few days earlier, the woman had experienced another accident, getting injured by a falling chandelier. Now, with difficulty breathing, the woman became increasingly agitated. Seeing her distress, the firefighter quickly held her hand to comfort her. Once the woman calmed down, the firefighter took out a scalpel and made an incision on her lips. However, it was noticed that the wax had penetrated deep into the woman's throat. Realizing the urgency of the situation, as the woman was at risk of immediate suffocation, the firefighters swiftly inserted an airway tube into her throat and placed an oxygen mask on her face. Fortunately, the woman could finally breathe normally. However, a new challenge emerged. The wax needed a temperature of over 100 degrees to melt, and attempting to do so could potentially cause secondary burns to the woman. With no better option, the firefighters had to transport the woman to the hospital for professional medical attention. A female college student gave birth at home, but the experience terrified her. The newborn was completely enveloped in a membrane, and she had no idea what she had delivered. Paramedics reassured her that it was the amniotic sac and the actual baby was inside. However, the immediate concern was to quickly extract the baby so that baby could breathe. Surprisingly, the amniotic sac proved exceptionally tough, making it difficult to tear open quickly.
I need a scalpel.
With a decisive cut, accompanied by the rupture of the amniotic sac, murky fluid spilled all over. When Brett asked his teammate for tools to clean the baby's mouth and remove meconium, they discovered that the first aid kit lacked a delivery tool kit. Apparently, they had just taken over the shift and hadn't had a chance to inspect the equipment before being called for the emergency. Without the necessary tools, they couldn't clamp the umbilical cord or clear the baby's airway. In this critical moment, the teammates came up with an idea, using a large syringe in place of a suction bulb to clear the baby's airway. Meanwhile, teammate tightened the umbilical cord with a tourniquet and then cut it with a scalpel. Finally, in the expectant eyes of everyone present, the baby showed faint signs of breathing. However, it was crucial to rush the baby to the hospital for medical. This man was sucked into the airplane turbine. It was initially believed that he would surely die. However, unexpectedly, he survived. Just a moment ago, the two were loading checked baggage onto the cart. Mike was concerned that there might be fragile items in the suitcase, so he chose to handle them with care. However, his colleague, dissatisfied with his efficiency, directly snatched the luggage and stuffed it into the cart. Later, knowing that it wouldn't fit, he forcefully put a bag into the driver's seat. Unfortunately, it accidentally pressed the accelerator, causing the cart to go out of control. Coincidentally, someone in the distance was directing the airplane to park and was knocked down by the out-of-control luggage cart. Subsequently, the cart spun wildly in place, throwing all the luggage off. It was only then that the two realized they had caused a big trouble. Mike quickly started the car and deliberately overturned the out-of-control luggage cart. However, as he got out of the car to celebrate, he was unexpectedly sucked into the airplane turbine behind him. Soon the rescue team arrived. The captain quickly instructed the team to prepare tools and asked the person in charge to evacuate the onlookers in the distance, as the rescue scene could be very gruesome. Just as he finished speaking, Mike's foot moved a bit. The captain immediately realized he was still alive and instructed the team to start the rescue. They carefully removed the hubcap, then disassembled the fan blades and found them deformed. Despite this, the man was miraculously still alive. They carefully lifted the man out and placed him on a stretcher for examination. The fact that the man had survived with only minor injuries was astonishing to them. At that moment, one firefighter found several golf clubs from behind. It turned out that these golf clubs got stuck in the turbine and saved his life. Witnessing this scene, the passengers applauded and cheered, but the owner of the golf clubs fainted, considering the presumably high cost of such high-quality clubs. The man was inspecting a reservoir when suddenly the wall ruptured. The flood instantly engulfed him, creating a breach in the dam, releasing tens of thousands of cubic meters of water. A woman on a bicycle saw this scene and desperately pedaled, but it was just a struggle before imminent death. In less than half a minute, she was swallowed by the torrent. Soon the flood reached the city center. People on the bus had no time to react. The powerful shockwave forcefully embedded the bus into an office building. Firefighters rushed to the scene. After seeing this, they were puzzled about how it had happened. The people inside the bus were already in shock, desperate to escape. However, it immediately made the bus lose balance. The captain quickly ordered them to stay in place. The team reinforced the foundation on the top floor, using a towing rope to secure the bus's tail so to buy time for rescue. The people inside the car were saved one by one. Suddenly, they discovered there was still one person trapped underneath. Unless the bus was lifted, there was no way to rescue him. They had to release the towing rope again, letting the tail of the bus drop. Seizing the opportunity, the team pulled the man out. Now only one person was left. A boy with autism stubbornly refused to leave the bus. The captain stayed with him on the bus. Suddenly, the fuel tank exploded, and flames engulfed the entire bus. Firefighters broke into the carriage to find the captain shielding the boy with his body. The firefighting gear ensured both emerged unscathed. This time, he finally agreed to leave the bus voluntarily. The ice cream machine malfunctioned. The boy reached in to fix it. In the next moment, his arm was instantly caught in the machine. Seeing this, colleagues quickly rushed forward to help. Instead of immediately cutting off the power, the girl used her own hand to support the blades inside, allowing the boy to withdraw his hand. However, The rescue team arrived at the scene soon. The girl, due to excessive bleeding, began to tremble all over. Her body became cold and her arm also lost sensation. They quickly examined her, covered her with a blanket for warmth, and found that her body temperature was too low. Her heart rate was elevated. The captain, after observing, concluded that the only way to rescue the girl was to cut open the shell. They protected the girl with protective gear. The captain used a cutting machine to open the shell. However, the onlookers outside were callous, even taking videos with their phones to share online as entertainment. This scene angered the firefighters outside and they decided to teach them a lesson. By now, the captain had cut open the shell, revealing the trapped arm. They carefully and cautiously pushed out the girl's arm. However, just as they removed the blade, the girl's arteries suddenly ruptured, leading to shock and fainting. The team quickly lifted the girl onto a stretcher for emergency rescue. They planned to administer intravenous fluids, but found that her veins had already shrunk, making it impossible to insert the needle. Moreover, her blood pressure was rapidly dropping. Without prompt intervention, the girl might go into shock and die. The team then cut open the girl's pants, drilled a hole in her leg with an IO drill, and inserted an intravenous tube for bone marrow infusion. Soon her blood pressure and heart rate returned to normal. The girl also regained consciousness. Subsequently, the girl was transported to the hospital. At this point, the young men were still mocking the girl in front of the camera, expressing satisfaction that the video would surely go viral. However, the team approached the boy and informed him that he had already become an internet sensation, showing him the video they had posted online, depicting the earlier scenes of their heartless gloating and malicious taunting. This woman went to the restaurant and didn't have to pay for the meal. She intentionally knocked over the just-filled tomato sauce onto the floor. When no one was paying attention, she stepped on it directly. This way, not only did she not have to pay, but the owner also had to pay her money. Afterwards, she opened the trunk and took off her fake bandage, and the trunk was filled with tools for insurance fraud. At that moment, a man had just bought a big LED TV. Seeing this, the woman immediately became lively. After the man got into his car and tried to reverse, the large cardboard box blocked his rear view, so after carefully observing the side mirror and making sure no one was behind, he started reversing. However, at this moment, a scream suddenly came from behind. The man hurriedly got out of the car to check, and the woman had already laid down, claiming her leg was broken, insisting on receiving a hefty sum or else she wouldn't let him go. The man hesitated for a moment, and the woman then said she had a concussion, starting to scream in pain. In this way, the man ended up paying her a medical fee. Seeing the amount, the woman smiled triumphantly. Immediately after, she targeted another well-dressed elderly lady. Employing the same trick, she went to the back of the car, only to be hit by a passing car on the spot. Unaware of the situation behind, the elderly lady continued to reverse, and the car got run over. Having only heard of people getting stuck with fish bones, but have never heard of anyone getting their muscles stuck. In a bodybuilding competition, each participant was showcasing their perfect physique, with this man putting in the most effort, while others had moved on to display other parts of their bodies. This man maintained his pose. The pained expression on the man's face resembled he was suffering from constipation. Suddenly, the man let out a loud roar. He had gotten his muscles stuck. The rescue team quickly arrived. The firefighters determined that this situation was caused by low blood sodium. They immediately asked the man when was the last time he had drunk water. It turned out that in an effort to reduce weight and make his veins more prominent, the man hadn't consumed any water for a day. This led to a severe deficiency of potassium and sodium in his body, requiring an immediate electrolyte replenishment. The captain asked if he had been dosing. The man hesitated before admitting that he hadn't used steroids. The captain then noticed a reporter recording the incident and immediately understood it. He politely asked the reporter to leave and continued advising the man. He warned the man that if he had been dosing, injecting saline solution could potentially lead to kidney failure. Realizing the severity of the situation, the man finally admitted to using steroids and even taking diuretics to reduce body water. Seeing the complexity of the situation, the captain had no choice but to have him taken to the hospital.